Buyers may not tell you this, or you may have experienced this, but they have fears. They fear that they're going to miss out on something, or they fear they might end up paying too much. It's our job to help them alleviate the fears and give them the green light and say, listen, it's okay to buy this property. Now, how do we do that? Let's say you're talking to a couple that want to buy a house. Bob and Jeannie, right? So you kick off the conversation. You say, hey, listen, Bob and Jeannie, not only am I going to help you buy a house, but I'm going to make sure that you don't miss out on any property and that you are not going to be overpaying. And then this is where it gets good. You tell them, say, listen, we have a funnel process to make this work for you. Would you like to understand how it works? They're going to say yes, and then you explain to them what this funnel process is. And that's what this video is about today, to teach you. Why is it so important talking about having this funnel process? Because people need security. If they know you have a process in place that's going to help them make sure they get the property they want, they're not going to miss anything, they're not going to overpay. These are the things that they're concerned about. And these are the things we're going to talk about continually throughout this whole funnel process. So when you talk about the funnel process, it kind of gives them security because it sounds like, hey, you know what? I've got a system in place. This is how we're going to do it. They know that you know what you're talking about, and that's why it gives them some assurance and some security working with you. That's why this is so important. So where did this funnel process come from? It was developed by a gentleman who goes by the name of Keith Huntsman. He is a partner in The Group, which is a franchise here out of Colorado. Keith, through all his years of work, has never lost a buyer. And what the funnel does, it says it takes everything, everything you could possibly think of that pertains to them, and you put it in this giant funnel, which basically means what? They're not going to miss out on anything, right? So what are you doing with the first question? You're making sure they don't miss out on anything. So that's the first thing you do with this funnel. You put everything, and I mean everything that pertains to them, in this funnel. The next thing you do is you start filtering out everything within that funnel that doesn't pertain to them and what they're looking for. If you want to make it more visual for them, while you're talking about this and while you're explaining it, get yourself a pen and paper and draw them an actual funnel while you're talking about it. This process is the opposite of the concept of selection that a lot of people are used to. So what do I mean by this process of selection? Well, we start with this process of elimination. Often you'll get the buyer looking at all these houses online and give it to the list of the realtor, and then the realtor will try to set up the meetings for the houses and they'll look through them. But you haven't addressed that unconscious fear of missing out on something that the buyers have. So this process goes on over and over and over, either through selection where the realtor will pick some houses or the buyer will pick some houses. Then they'll just go look at them together. It's pretty typical. In this particular process, it seems that the buyer is the one that is in more control of this than anything. Which means what? Which means they're going to control your time. The process does work and can work, but is a constant drain on your time. Is there a better way to do it? Yes, there is. But we don't want to try to take total control over a buyer, right? That's not what it's into. So start with them where they are. Maybe they looked up some properties already and they have a list of properties when you meet with them. It's okay. Tell them you're going to start with them right where they are. You may have seen it, but ask them, hey, do you have a list of homes that you thought might be interesting so far? Yeah, they do. They've looked on the internet. They've seen some advertisement. They've possibly even driven by some. Let them show you what they found, and then ask them 2 questions. Question number 1, hey, what was it about this property that really attracted your attention? The first thing they tell you is the dominant motivating factor inside their mind. So do not miss it and write it down. If they have a number of houses and you ask this question with each house and they start talking, you will see a pattern develop on what motivates them the most. Then the second question you want to ask them is very simple. Hey, have you gone inside the home and looked at it yet? If they have, find out what their reaction to the property was. Were they with another realtor? What kind of relationship do they have with this other realtor? Then ask them, say, hey, listen, if it's okay with you, can we take these homes that you really like and put them in your funnel? Why do you tell them this? Because you want to make sure that they feel they are not missing anything. Then encourage them, tell them to go ahead and find any other home they'd like to put in that funnel. While this is taking place, you're also going to talk to them about other opportunities that are out there. And again, why? Because we want to make sure they don't miss anything. So what kind of things do you talk to them about? Take the whole MLS and symbolically put it in the funnel. That's part of the process. Why? So they don't miss anything. After the MLS, what else are we going to talk to them about? New home construction. Why new home construction? So they don't miss anything. And even for sale by owner. So tell them, something like this. Hey, when we're driving around looking at houses, if you happen to see a for sale by owner that you feel might really work for you, I want you to feel comfortable discussing that home with me. And then just tell them, say, you know what? I haven't found a for sale by owner who wouldn't work with me yet. Well, I can help you with something like this if you really want my help. And it's okay to tell them, say, listen, it's okay if you'd rather work with the owner by yourself without me. That's fine too. I just want to make sure that you guys don't miss out on anything. And I know a conversation like this is a little contrary to a buyer's agreement that they may have signed with you. But honestly, my friends, it's that transparency that you're going to give to them and concern for them that they don't miss out on anything that is really going to be powerful. When you say something to them like, listen, if you'd rather do this on your own, by yourself, that really speaks to them and that internal dialogue that they have. And remember, because you have built such a really good dialogue and reputation with them, that little phrase, by yourself, on your own, is going to make them a little uneasy. Why? Because they're learning to trust you more, because they trust that you understand that you have them in mind and you're going to help them to make sure that they don't miss anything. This is what's going through their head. Listen, depending on the market, there might even be some short sales or foreclosures, but you want to bring these up because you want to make sure they don't miss anything. We have a full funnel. A funnel of what? A funnel of everything, so that there's nothing for them to miss now, right? They're not going to miss anything because we have everything in that funnel. So what do we do now? Just tell them, say, hey, once we have everything in the funnel, we just start a simple process of elimination to make sure we are taking out the properties that don't work for you. So instead of just selecting, we're going to use this process of eliminating properties so that they don't miss anything. When you're just out there going boom, boom, booms, in grabbing properties and selecting them and looking at them, you don't know if you've got everything, right? So explain this to them. Say, listen, we got everything in this funnel, and we're going to get rid of everything that doesn't fall into the categories of the things that you are looking for. This way we know that you haven't missed anything. And it alleviates this selective process where they're out looking, and dragging you along, and time is just going and going and going. Buyers don't want to look at everything. They just don't want to miss out on anything. And this is a simple process to help them find what they're looking for without missing out on anything. Notice how I keep saying that over and over? Because this is what you're going to say to them. And tell them, say, listen, we got this funnel of thousands, and we're going to eliminate the ones you don't want and take it down to hundreds and maybe even dozens. And then tell them some of these you can, when we've got this down, you can take it, look at them online, then figure out the ones that you like the best and we can drive by and make an appointment to look inside. This keeps you in control of the time and process, so you don't have people dragging you around for hours and hours and hours selecting stuff and wondering if they're missing out on something. And then let them know, hey, listen, as we go through this elimination process, our goal is to find the top 3 homes that you really like the best. And let them know it's not written in stone. It could be a rolling top 3. One can replace another one at any time. Then tell them after you pick your top 3, that's when you'll do the CMA form to make sure what? To make sure they're not paying too much. So we're addressing both issues here. We're addressing make sure that they're not going to miss anything, and we're making sure they're not paying too much. During this whole funnel process, as I have done with you throughout this video, you have constantly be reminding them that everything you're doing is to make sure that they don't miss out on anything. You have to say this over and over and over because it's going through their mind. And you want to alleviate the fears that they have, that if they make a decision, they might miss out on something else that they haven't seen yet. This gets them to trust you more and rely on you more. So they're really leaning in and they're relying on that relationship with you and that uncertainty about buying a property. They're leaning on you for their security. And you know what? Most of us are visual anyway. So showing them something is much better than just rattling off and talking about numbers all the time. After you have explained how the funnel system will work, just ask them a simple question. Hey, will this process work for you? When you ask that question, their internal process is going to start taking place, and they're going to realize that the two greatest fears that they have, missing out on something or worry about paying too much, are going to be addressed right then and there. And this gives them the green light to buy the properties that they've looked at because they've eliminated everything else. And they're not worried in the back of their mind about it. Am I going to pay too much? Is there something out there that I haven't seen that I'm missing? That's not going to take place. And you're in control of the time, and you're not out there going hour after hour after hour looking at properties from selecting here and selecting there, but really having no concrete funnel to bring it down to that final properties that they really, really like. My friends, if this funnel process, if you found this process interesting and it works for you, I want to remind you that this is just one small part of a bigger process, 9-step process called the Real Estate Revenue Roadmap, designed to help you as a real estate agent build a revenue roadmap where business is continually flowing nonstop for you. If you would like to know more about how this works, what I want you to do is, you see the button at the bottom of this, where underneath this video, I want you to click on that button, and I want you to set up an appointment to spend some time talking with me, and I'll explain to you how it works, and we'll talk a little bit about the challenges that you have about building your marketing platform, and if you're bringing business in consistently right now, or is your business coming in sporadically because you don't have a systematic process in place that just works like clockwork. So my friends, if you're interested in learning more about how this may pertain to you, again, right underneath here, I want you to press that button and you set up an appointment to spend some time and talk with me. No, there's no charge for that.